Yo, what is going on? Welcome to the Risen Fallen podcast. I am your host, Mark Hendrickson, and if you're brand new to this show, then what you can expect is open and authentic conversations about things like mental health, self-development, and how to get your life moving in the right direction. If you're not feeling good about where you are right now, at least having the confidence knowing that you are moving forward 1% better every single day, one step closer to who you'd like to be, and that's pretty much that. Like I said, if you're brand new to this show, I'm just a dude based out of Vancouver. I'm a carpenter, and I've had this podcast for a while. I like to interview people, but today is going to be a solo episode. It is January 5th. We drop an episode every single Monday, and so I hope that you guys are doing well. Happy New Year. It is a brand new year. It is 2026, and as I record this, actually, it is New Year's Eve. It's New Year's Eve this afternoon. It's 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 3 o'clock almost, and it is a gorgeous, beautiful day, and I hope that you're doing well. This episode is brought to you by my fiance Teddy, because she got me a new interface here. I'm rocking with it. It is the M Audio Air. If you are a sound nerd tech guy, then maybe that means something to you. I actually am these things are pretty foreign to me, but I've been working with an interface for the last few years, and I wanted to upgrade it, and I finally got the upgrade up coming up. It came out at Christmas time, and so that's pretty much that. I just wanted to get that off the Actually, I'll probably circle back to that in a little bit, because it does. The reason I wanted to get an upgrade is to, kind of upgrade this podcast, bring you guys some bigger and better things, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But, what are the main things, that a lot of people are speaking about, focusing on right now? It's the beginning of the year. Maybe you've been thinking about this for a couple weeks now. Maybe you've been thinking about this for a month. Maybe it just kind of hits your attention in the last week or so, but the idea of New Year's resolutions is always on people's mind at this time of year. And if you've been listening to the podcast for a couple years, you'd kind of know my take on these things. For me, December is a very kind of slowed down, solemn month. It's kind of a sprint in the very beginning, just kind of rushing towards the holidays, and then the last couple weeks, I kind of chill out a little bit more. In terms of, my work, of course, obviously, just by nature, work kind of slows down this time of year. But also, personally in my life, with my fitness, those types of things, it's not that I stop working out. It's just that this time of year is kind of a lower energy time of year. And so for me, that means a lot more reading, sitting down, stretching, a lot more stretching, actually, and a lot more, like I said, reading and journaling and kind of realigning myself. I don't really like this idea of New Year's resolutions and setting goals for yourself every single year, because I feel like it's the same thing every single year. We all have the exact same goals. I want to make more money. I want to be more fit. I want to be a nicer person, a better person. All of these things that we want to add to ourselves or become something that we feel like we're not already. And again, this is something that I personally talk about on a regular basis already. And so these types of things interest me, these topics. I'm always kind of reading self-development books, fiction, nonfiction, stories that can kind of teach me lessons, or, focusing on these types of things. I always, my brain's already always there, always thinking about, what I could do better, what I could improve on, what I could add to myself, or some of the negative things that I need to take away, which is kind of one of the key things that I was talking about at the tail end of last year, 2025, right? And talking about a lot of the times we don't have to add to ourselves. It's actually just we have to take away. We have to detach ourselves from things that are holding us back, things that we choose in our lives that are actively holding us back. These things that are in conflict with the person that we'd like to be. So we kind of feel almost unaligned when we're doing these things, whether it's like a physical, like uncomfortability, you get that pit in your stomach, or it's just kind of like a spiritual, like this doesn't align with my values and what I believe, but it's something I've always done and I continue to do it. Maybe you are preaching that people should be more focused and living clean lives and treating themselves well, but you still go out and party with the same people every single weekend. And you say, oh, I prioritize this, I prioritize that, but you're still doing these other negative things. A lot of the times, it's not something new that you have to add to yourself. It's actually something that old that you have to take away from. Something like, anyways. The reason I bring that up is because I feel the exact same way about resolutions and goal setting when it comes to the beginning and the end of the year when people start to think about these things. And I, personally, I always have felt this, and I've never really found a way to say it, but it's almost as if you already know your resolutions or your goals. There's no reason to, some people say it's important to write them down. It's important to visualize them. It's important to journal. And of course, yes, it is important to know these things, because if you don't actually write them down and read them back to yourself and hear the thoughts, you go, is that really what I need? Is that really what I want? Is that something is attainable? Is that something I can already do? And I think that it's just kind of something, a lot of the times, a lot of these resolutions are just very like broad, kind of things that we'd wish for. I want to make more money. I want to be more jacked. I want to be less fat. I want to be less lazy. I want to be more friendly. I want to be more social. I want to work more. I want to work less, whatever it could be. Like, it's always like kind of like a broad, vague thing that just kind of makes life sound better. Oh, it would be better if I made more. It would be better if I was more jacked, if I was more social, those types of things. But we don't actually think, like, a lot of the time we actually don't think about the things that would, really make a good year. Like, what would actually constitute for a good year. And I know for myself, we always have these like goals, like I just listed, all of those types of things. But sometimes it's important to remember that you have to slow down to speed up sometimes. And that's exactly what I'm talking about with this kind of idea of having a bit of a time period. Maybe it's a week, maybe it's a couple days, maybe it's a month, where you sit down and you kind of just slow down for a little bit. You don't stop altogether. You stay moving, you stay going on walks, you go for jogs, you do some more yoga, you do some stretching, you do some more whatever. Or maybe in my case, like I know in the beginning of this year, I'm going to end up getting shoulder surgery. And so for the very beginning, like, it's like if I were to take what I'm going to be doing for rehab, and just isolate that and look at that, I'd be like, well, those are like kind of like beginner introductory exercises. I think of myself as a more esteemed athlete than that, but you have to put it into context of, well, you're in a different situation right now. You're like post-operation, post-surgery. I'm going to be in a completely different situation than I am in my prime, because I'm not in my prime. If that makes sense. If that puts it into context, because it's that's the thing that we need to do. We have to put it into context for ourselves. The year, the week, the month, whatever you're judging. Oh, was this a good week? Was this a good day for me? You have to put it into context. What are you actually aiming to do? And, is it my goal to be able to do 5 push-ups in my prime? No, my goal is to be able to do 200 push-ups or 300 push-ups or 400 push-ups. But post-surgery, like that, the goal will be calibrated relevant to the context that it's in. Post-surgery, I'm going to be proud if I could do 5 push-ups. I'm going to, like, once I can do a dead hang and do some pull-ups or something like that, that's going to be like the best feeling ever. But if I were to measure that, like right now, 5 push-ups and a dead hang and some pull-ups, like that would be not even a warm-up for a workout. And so I think it's important when we're setting these goals, when we're setting these resolutions for ourselves, to put things into context for the situation that we're in. Some people might hear, I want to make $1 more per hour. And they go, well, that's not very lofty. That's not very huge. But contextually for you, that might be a huge deal. That might be the biggest raise you've gotten. And so those types of things, in this day and age of social media and comparison, I think it's important to put our goals and our resolutions into context. And remember that the other thing that I was trying to think is to remember that these goals and these resolutions, they're probably the same goals and resolutions that you set last year. It's probably the exact same, every single year We get up to December and we're like, new year, new me. It's going to be a brand new me. The world better watch out because it's going to be a brand new me. 2025 was the warm up. 2026 is my year. Every single year we get to that, that kind of that point where we're like, okay, this is a brand new, fresh restart. And I heard something where it's like January tells you where you want to be and December tells you where you're at. And it's kind of, I don't know, that's just a random thing that I was just thinking about and that I saw today. But back on this topic of, you already know your goals. You already know your resolutions. A lot of the times these goals and resolutions repeat every single December. We sit down, we go, oh, I maybe I made some improvements here, and here, but basically the goal is the same every single year. I want to be fitter. I want to be, healthier, wealthier. I want to feel better. I want to be happier. I want to be more excited for life. I want to have things that I'm working towards that excite me. And so the goal, the idea that I'm trying to say is we don't actually need to set goals and resolutions for ourselves because we already mentally have, subconsciously, what you want in life. You know where you need to improve. But what we need to do is set less intentions or set less resolutions for ourselves and be more intentional with the actions and behaviors that we have on a daily basis. Because you could tell yourself, oh, I want to be wealthier. And so you focus so much on how do I make more money? How do I make more money? How do I make more money? But you never address the fact that you got a gambling addiction. You never address the fact that you have, all these other things. You have to be more intentional. Maybe you are going out drinking with your buddies on the weekends and you're like, does that really align with what's important to you? This goal, this resolution that you have of becoming more financially free, does it align with you? Or do you have to be more intentional? Is setting another goal going to help you? Or is holding yourself accountable to the ones that you already know you want to achieve going to help you a little bit more? And that's just kind of the way that my brain's working right now this year. It was not focused on, setting resolutions for myself, setting goals for myself. For me this year, this whole like a winter arc that I've been going through has been more about slowing down and really analyzing myself and just thinking about, how can I be more intentional with my day? Does that mean less screen time? Does that mean more reading? Does that mean, doing more of the things that are going to help me get towards my goal? Or does it mean, fucking around and doom scrolling through my phone until I find hopefully some motivation to make my life better? And so I think that's a pretty good way to tie it all in. This idea that, you already know your goals. You already know your resolutions. You just need to, quote unquote, lock in. You just need to really get some buy-in from yourself of like, maybe you don't need to set a new goal. Maybe you just need to realign yourself with what your goal actually is. And ask yourself truly if you are living intentionally to get towards that. If you were to repeat the day that you've lived today, every single day for this whole year, would you be closer or farther from the person you'd like to be? And that really is the question. How often can you win the day? And what does winning the day really look like? You have to think about it contextually, because one guy's dream day could be another guy's worst day of his year, and another guy's worst day of his year could be the guy's dream day of the year. And really, if you're comparing your dream day and your best day and your worst day to someone else, you've already lost the fucking game, because we're all in different, races. This whole world is just like that. And so you just have to be intentional and focus on what's important. That's literally what I have written down on my whiteboard in my office here this year to start the year off or the week off or whatever. I don't know if I'm going to write something different, but right now I just literally have focus on what is important, because I feel like every time I read that, it just realigns me with, what I really want in this life. And so that's pretty much it for this episode. I guess a little bit of housekeeping before I say that. Like I said, we do have a brand new interface here, which is pretty dope. The last one, I was only able to have 2 mics plugged in at once, so that constituted me and one other person, one guest. But this one, I got to tell you, we can have 4 mics now. So we are able to, I know, I'll hold a little bit of silence here for your applause. But that means we are now able to have multiple guests in person. And so that got me very excited. I was like, dude, we could have multiple people in here. I instantly started thinking about ideas, combinations of guests that I've had in the past. And just being able to have them over and chill out, have a cup of coffee, maybe a workout, a couple of the dudes, a couple of the bros, a couple of guys, a couple, a couple guests that I think that will vibe well, or maybe we'll have some heated debates. I don't know. But I got this inkling, this feeling, this is dope. Now I got 4 audio inputs. I could instantly start having more guests. I could start having more panels on. And then I started to think, I could have been doing this the whole time had I just done it on Zoom. It's so easy. It's so easy to just invite multiple guests on and just have a panel and then have a conversation. And I was like, this whole time I've been thinking, for me to be capable to do the thing that I want to do, I have to get this new thing. I got to get some new mics. I got to get a new interface, without realizing, I could have been doing this the whole time. And not like, of course, obviously, having it in person, having people sit down face to face is obviously a better way to communicate. It's going to be dope. I'm pretty excited for it. But, obviously with Zoom and anything on a thing, there's like always a delay with people talking. And so it gets kind of weird and awkward. You don't know when you can start. You don't know how whatever. But like in person, it's way better. But the idea I guess I'm trying to convey right now is one more little nugget, a little golden nugget for you guys before I sign off here. The first episode of the year is that, and this is something that just hit me. We often tell ourselves, to be able to do this thing that I want to do, to get to where I want to get, I have to get this other thing first. I have to buy this thing. I have to gain this skill, and then I can do the thing that I want to do. And I'm going to say more often than not, we already have the capability of doing whatever we want to do. You get this as well with people that, if I had a treadmill, I could work out at home. If I had this yoga mat, I could work out at home. If I had these dumbbells, and it's like, well, if you really wanted to work out at home, you could be doing push-ups. Maybe you could strive to get the treadmill. Maybe you could strive to get those things. But if you really wanted to, you have the capacity to do a workout at home. You could do some push-ups. You could do some crunches. You could do, and obviously I get it's not what you want to be doing, but you have to ask yourself really, what could I be doing? What do I have the possibility to do right now that would make my life better? That would put me in a better position. And on that note, I think that's a beautiful place to wrap this up. Just remember, you have the capability to do the thing that you want to do right now. It might not be the way that you want to do it, but you can do the thing that you want to do right now. You don't need to set goals and be like, I have to get this thing first and get that thing first. If I have this thing, then I can do that thing. It's like, no, you just fucking do the thing. If you really wanted to read every day, you don't need a perfect reading chair. You don't need a perfect reading lamp. You don't need a fucking perfect cat to sit on your lap while you read the book and drink the coffee and do the thing. If you really wanted to read more, you'd sit down and read. Right? And that, at the end of the day, is the greatest realization you could possibly have. And so now that we have the new audio interface and the capacity for more microphones to be plugged in all at once, who would you guys think would be good guests to have on together? They could be people that I've had on before. It could be brand new guests that I've never met. It could be, I'm curious to hear what you guys think. If you're watching this on YouTube, if I clip this and put this on Instagram, who would you want on the podcast if I could have multiple guests on at once? Who should freaking talk? And I guess I can just come in with little quips and comments here and there. What would be interesting for you guys? Who would you like to hear on the show? As a brand new year, I think that's a great question to ask for you guys. So let me know. Message me on Instagram. Comment it down below. If you're watching this on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe. If you're listening to this on a podcast platform, rate it 5 stars. Leave a little review. I'm going to start reading more comments and reviews on the show, and let me know what you guys think, or what I should talk about, or who I should talk to. And on that note, I will see you guys next Sunday. Much love. Peace out. Love you all. Happy New Year. Let's make this year great. I think that's all I can say. Much love. Peace out. Bye.